Mr. Blair, thank you for giving your time.
That's my pleasure.
Sit down, please.
Thank you.
In your memo, you said that you enjoy your new life more than the old life. How is that possible, sir? Old life meaning Prime Minister
Yes.
for 10 years.
Look, being Prime Minister is a huge privilege.
You didn't enjoy it?
Enjoy's the wrong word, because the pressures are enormous.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to deal with everything that comes at you. Whereas in my new life, I'm able to concentrate on certain things. It might be the Middle East or my faith foundation,
Yes.
my Africa charity,
Yes.
Climate change. I'm able to concentrate on certain key issues, and the pressures aren't the same. So my new life is probably more enjoyable, but my old life was a privilege to do.
But what is more productive? Which part of it is more productive?
Well, I think that it's productive in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, funnily enough, if you take something, I do a lot of work in Africa now.
Sure,
I have
yeah.
a charity that's working in 5 different countries in Africa. Now, when I was Prime Minister, I increased our aid to Africa. I trebled it.
Yes.
Right? So that was one impact. But today I work with governments in Africa to make change, and I also have an impact, but it's different. So I think you can
the
do...
sense of satisfaction
Yes.
is more now than before?
Not more, but it's equal.
Oh.
Right. So one of the foundations which I'd like to do here in Thailand, which is how do you get different faiths and cultures working together? So I have a foundation that operates now in many different countries where
Faith.
we educate children in school
Yes.
to learn about other cultures, other faiths, so that people live harmoniously together. Right. So that foundation, that's something I could never have done as Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But I can do it now.
But if you were Prime Minister now, what would you advise the Eurozone Prime Ministers, leaders, to deal with the debt crisis?
If Europe wants to save the single currency,
Yeah.
it's...
Do you want to save the single currency?
Yes, it's better it survives than not, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If Europe wants to save the single currency, it's got to demonstrate that Europe as a whole, including the creditor nations, are fully 100% totally committed to standing behind the currency. If we don't do that, then we will have a situation where the markets will continue to demand very, very high amounts of money
Yes.
for Italian and Spanish and other bonds, and in the end, this will become unsustainable. So, the whole point about the single currency is it has to correct the essential design flaw that was there in the original
Yes.
concept, which
Yes.
was that the politics and the economics weren't in alignment. We've got to align the politics and the economics.
Are they aligning them?
And they are taking the measures. We've come a long way, but time is short.
Yeah.
And this situation is critical.
How much
very
time do you give them?
Not a lot. I think this is very, very difficult. And I think the danger is we end up taking decisions. This is very difficult, by the way. And so I have total sympathy for the leaders taking these decisions. But the risk is that they take decisions that are just, if I put it in this way, are just kind of two months behind the curve.
Yeah.
So you're constantly taking the decision just when the curve's already moved on. And at each
It's
stage...
always one step behind the crisis, you mean?
Yeah.
You think the German Chancellor and the French President are really up to the standard, up to the task?
Yeah, they're both highly capable, very committed people, and this is incredibly difficult.
I know.
I mean, the worst thing in politics is when you're faced with a choice, and I was in my time sometimes, where there's no middle way, and where both choices are ugly. And that's this situation.
How would you advise them then?
So I think the best thing, because the breakup of the single currency will be very severe, and bad for Germany, by the way, bad for even the creditor countries within the single currency. So my view is they should make a full commitment to the single currency.
Is the bailout package at the moment sufficient?
Not if people think there's a limit to how far you're prepared to go. And this is the problem. If people, look, if you're holding an Italian bond, and you think that there is any prospect of that bond not being honoured, you're going to demand a high premium.
So it's the confidence.
Yeah.
The public confidence.
Yeah, and the confidence, the difference between America and Europe or UK and Europe is we have central banks that essentially in the end, they can stand behind their currency. You know, you can't, it's not possible to knock out the dollar or the pound. Right? For Europe, you've got different countries in the same single currency framework. There is a long-term question, which Germany is rightly focused on, which is to do with reforming the European structures. In my view, you need fundamental reform of the European social model and so on and so forth. These are long-term issues. Short-term, people need to know the full weight of Europe is behind the single currency. If they believe there's any gap in the commitment, it's in that gap, and it need only be a small gap that you have the trouble.
So the window of opportunity is very, very small, right, as far as you're concerned?
I think so.